Welcome to the Commerce and Consumer Protection Committee. First on our agenda today is Senator Gustafson with Senate File 3920. Welcome to the committee again, Senator Gustafson, and we understand that you have an A11 authors amendment as this is your first stop. Senator Rest offers the A11 authors amendment. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? To your bill.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and committee members. I also have an A9 amendment, if we would like to introduce that as well. It's not an author's amendment, but offered by Senator Rasmusson. Sorry, Senator Rasmusson.
Senator Rasmusson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I would move the A9, and I'm happy to describe it.
Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So this would exempt individuals or businesses who are licensed by the Department of Labor and Industry as either a technology system contractor or power limited technician. The services that these organizations or individuals are most often engaged in are setting up alarm systems for Minnesotans. And so the idea being here is we wouldn't want a Minnesotan to inadvertently or someone to maliciously try to turn off an individual or a business's alarm system as a part of this bill.
Senator Gustafson.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. I accept this as a friendly amendment, and I would just add to that Senator Rasmusson has worked closely on helping me craft this bill, and I appreciate his time and consideration.
Member committee members' comments on the A11. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? A11 is adopted. To your bill, Senator Gustafson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and members of the committee. If you've ever joined a gym, a month-to-month cell phone plan, or a dating app, you've probably experienced a bit of despair that comes from trying to cancel your membership. The difficulty of quitting a membership or a subscription service is a high-end problem designed to be a high-end problem. Companies want your money. They want to keep your money and know all too well that you are busy and often unable to jump through hoops to save $20 a month. Companies may have discovered that the subscription industry is extremely lucrative, about $1.5 trillion, and that's not a bad thing, but often leaving a subscription service is cumbersome and confusing, and that's on purpose. Consumers are likely to spend hundreds of dollars a year on subscriptions they no longer want but don't have the time to cancel, and that's the point. For example, a gym membership are notoriously hard to quit, not all gyms, by the way, but some, and the contracts are drafted in such a way as to not allow a person to quit without suffering a penalty. Or the process requires written communication, sometimes even requiring a notarized letter to cancel the membership, all while the process to join the service only takes seconds. Another popular version of the subscription industry is allowing customers to sign up for a service with a few clicks of a button, but then forcing them to call a 1-800 number with long wait times to cancel, or even mail cancellation requests to a physical address, sometimes even requiring that they be notarized. What this bill does is provide more transparency, fairness, and flexibility when canceling a service or membership. The bill seeks to empower consumers with greater control over their memberships and subscriptions. As the law professor said, getting out is a lot harder than getting in. You find yourself in a Hotel California situation where you can check out anytime you like, but you can never leave. I'm happy to walk through each section of the bill when you're ready, Mr. Chair.
Proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Section 1 is the right of cancellation, so it clarifies that any person who elects to be a member of a club may unilaterally cancel such membership in the person's exclusive discretion by giving notice of a termination. You'll see definitions for what those notifications look like. Sections 2 and 3 codify a member's right to cancel and defines terms. Section 4 requires automatic renewal or continuous service. It describes notices upon offer, confirmation, material changes, free trials. Section 5 and 6 defines prohibited conduct. Section 7 is the termination election requirement. Sections 8 through 12 are unconditional gifts and exemptions, and the effective date at the end.
Thank you, Senator Gustafson. And after your testifier, we're going to come back to those exemptions so we have a fuller sense of that. But in the meantime, Mr. Brad Idlecope, please come forward. Welcome to the committee. Please introduce yourself for the record and proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, Senators. Good afternoon. I'm Brad Idlecope. I'm Assistant General Counsel at Lifetime Incorporated. Thanks for receiving me and hearing my testimony today. I'd also like to spend some time to thank Senator Gustafson for working collaboratively with myself and others similarly situated who share some concerns about the bill as currently drafted. I want to emphasize that consumer protection is a value that Lifetime has embraced throughout its entirety of operation in Minnesota. To that end, we don't want to unnecessarily obstruct the rights of consumers in any way. The Hotel California reference is not lost on me. As a matter of fact, when I was reading that, I heard Don Henley's voice, so I thought that was particularly apt. One of the things that concerns me with this bill is that it seems to apply a very broad brush while also utilizing a scalpel pointed directly through modifications to 325G, 23, and 24, which is the Health Club Contracts Act, for lack of a better term. This bill is intended, as I understand it, to apply broadly. And for that reason, perhaps tabling the discussion on the specific modifications to 325G, 23, and 24 might be appropriate, while we can work on the larger, more generally applicable bill and perhaps come back later to the Health Club bill, which would then be more collaboratively worked on and refined as needed. The other thing I want to emphasize is that there are some areas of the bill that potentially could be removed, making it more palatable and easier to understand for the general populace. A lot of the features of this bill are already covered by deceptive trades practices, restrictions, and consumer fraud protections as well. Finally, there are some elements regarding notice of termination and options that health clubs like Lifetime have to provide, which perhaps don't line up with other legislatures who have adopted similar consumer protection-facing bills. For example, other states such as California, Illinois, Maine, New Jersey, in automatic renewal and continuous service contracts have tried to strike a balance, and we believe effectively have done so, in allowing sellers and consumers a method to terminate these agreements with what is quoted as an easy-to-use and not unnecessarily difficult method. So while not obligating health clubs to provide every methodology over the sun, but rather restricting them to only those methods that are easy to use and not with undue circumstances for the consumer, that provides more flexibility and helps to better strike the balance between the consumer and the seller. And really that is the crux of our opposition. We have sent some red lines to the author, and I appreciate her time and collaboration on that, and we look forward to continuing to work through this bill so we can better protect the state of Minnesota.
Thank you, Mr. Idlecope. We'll go now to member questions and comments, and I'll start with myself as the chair. Thank you so much for the bill, and your bipartisan authorship really speaks to how this is an issue that touches on every Minnesotan. And I think everybody does have a story of how they got into some sort of membership, whether it was an online subscription or a gym membership, and then it just was 10 times harder to get out. And as I read your bill, it makes it very simple. It's just as easy to get out of a subscription as it was to get on. And that makes perfect sense, I think, to every Minnesotan. I know you worked with stakeholders, and I appreciate that, and a lot of entities that were initially opposed have dropped their opposition. And we were trying to get our hands around before committee who exactly has been exempted from this bill. And I think some of the right ones have, the insurance industry and the alarm industry by Senator Rasmusson. And then the cable companies, I think, have been exempted. We were trying to figure out if other entities like HBO subscriptions or Netflix and so forth, and I'm not going to put you on the spot, but it's something I'd like to sort of look into as we go forward with this bill. Do you have any comments on that?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. It's actually Netflix. I had a handout, and I'm sorry, I forgot to distribute it before I sat down, but Netflix is an example of somebody that does it right. So if you go to their website, and I did this, I went into my Netflix account, and I went to cancel my service just so I could see if it was hard or easy to do, and it was actually very simple. They give you a warning. They say, that's great, you know, you've got until such and such date to still use the service. And you've got 60 days to be able to come back to us, or something like that. But it was very easy and quick. And then I went to Planet Fitness, and I tried to look at like how you would cancel there, and it was cumbersome, it was hard to understand, there were 3 or 4 different steps. So those are sort of the 2 examples. We would like to get more to the like streamlining, being able to just cancel. I like to compare it to if I go out to eat somewhere and I have dinner, if I want to leave there after I'm done and go have dessert at a different restaurant, I shouldn't have to go through an escape room to do it. Like, I should just be able to pay my bill, get up and leave. That's sort of what we want for consumers too. Just the freedom to leave and go use a different company if they want to.
Other member questions or comments? Wonderful. Then the questions on the motion of Senator Rasmusson that Senate File 3920 is amended, be recommended to pass and refer to the Committee on Judiciary and Public Safety. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you, Senator Gustafson.
Thank you.
Senator Seeberger. Welcome to the committee, Senator Seeberger. Senate File 4138 is in front of us. I know you have 3 amendments. We will treat the first as an author's amendment. Senator Seeberger moves the A1 as an author's amendment. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Amendment is adopted. Senator Seeberger, would you like to offer your subsequent amendments?
Yes, please. Thank you, Mr. Chair. At this time, I would offer the A2 amendment.
Senator Seeberger offers the A2 amendment to the amendment.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The A2 amendment, let's see.
Senator, if you prefer, Mr. Kelly can describe it as well.
Yeah, I'll defer to Mr. Kelly. We're on the
Mr.
A2.
Kelly, please introduce yourself for the record and proceed.
Thank you, Chair and members. So the A2 is a provision from the Data Security Model Act, and it pertains to the confidentiality of data received by the department from companies under that act. And so that needs to have a judiciary stop. So we're amending onto the bill so it can be heard in judiciary.
Thank you, Mr. Kelly. And for the benefit of the members, we'll get all these amendments on, and then Mr. Kelly will speak to the entirety of the policy. It's a technical bill from the department. So any questions on the A2 amendment from members? All in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? A2 is adopted. To the A3, Mr. Kelly.
Thank you, Chair. Again, this is a background check section from Senate File 4157 that was heard last week in this committee. This also needs a judiciary stop, and so we're attaching it onto Senate File 4138, which is going to judiciary, and it'll come back for markup.
Member questions or comments on the A3? Senator Seeberger offers the A3. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? To your bill as amended, Senator Seeberger or Mr. Kelly.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I can tee it up for Mr. Kelly. Senate File 4138 as amended has 3 provisions relating to insurance, real estate, and debt collection practices within the state. The first provision seeks to streamline the benefits for loss assessment coverage under condominium and townhome insurance policies. The second aims to curb long-term abusive real estate service agreements. And lastly, the bill proposes to modify licensing exemptions for non-resident debt collection companies, ensuring better oversight and regulation in this area. This bill allows the Commerce Department to establish robust regulatory frameworks, safeguarding the interests of Minnesota families and fostering a healthier marketplace. Minnesotans can expect improved accessibility, transparency, and fairness in debt collection, real estate, and insurance services, aligning with the principles of efficiency, affordability, and consumer protection. And with that, I'll turn it over to John Kelly.
Mr. Kelly, please introduce yourself and proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. For the record, John Kelly, Director of Government Affairs for the Minnesota Department of Commerce. This is the department's consumer protection bill, and as Senator Seeberger mentioned, it has 3 different provisions. The first provision, we're trying to have a standardization of the trigger event for if there is a loss assessment for condominium and townhome insurance policies. The language that's reflected in the author's amendment is gotten us very close to the proverbial peace in the valley. We're still working through a definition of assessable loss with the insurance industry and other folks that are impacted by this, and we think we should have that by the time the bill comes back to Commerce. We really appreciate the work of the insurance industry with us. The idea here is some folks right now, if they have a condo or townhome policy, they switch carriers. So they went from one carrier to another. They may not realize, even though they have all the same coverages, that they have a different trigger event. And so what we want to have is the same trigger event, the assessable loss, for all policies, so it won't matter. And folks that have had insurance the whole time won't end up being stuck paying something out of pocket. The next provision in the bill, it prevents unfair long-term listing agreements. This is something that really impacts seniors and vulnerable adults. These companies will offer a small payment to get the exclusive listing rights on a home for sometimes up to 40 years. And so we would be the 20th state to ban this. This is something that we are proud to have worked with the Minnesota Realtors Association, ARP, Legal Aid, and others to get the language right. We think it's a really good section of this bill. We think it's going to really protect egregious practice happening right now in the real estate field for our seniors and vulnerable adults. And lastly, we're removing the current licensing exemption that we have for non-resident debt collectors, and we're replacing that with the commissioner can waive the non-resident debt collector company licensing requirements for a state if we've determined that we've had reciprocity. Determining reciprocity under the current law is a very onerous process for our legal folks, and also we've seen some states not have the same kind of background check and other rules of the road that our own licensed debt collectors have to follow. So we want to tighten that up. We want to move it to how we do it on the real estate side. We have a written agreement with 7 states right now, and we want to move to the same kind of thing in our debt collection space. And so that is the bill as amended. It's a good bill, and we would appreciate the support of the committee and stand for questions.
Thank you, Senator. And Mr. Kelly, questions, amendments, or comments from committee members? There are none. The motion is by Senator Seeberger that Senate File 4138 is amended, be recommended to pass, and then refer to the Committee on Judiciary and Public Safety. All in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion prevails. The bill is passed. Senator Dibble. Welcome to committee. Mrs. Senator Dibble, Senate File 2268 is in front of the committee, and you have an author's amendment. No, you don't. No. Senator Dibble.
All right. I was getting ready to believe you that I did. Thank you, Mr. Chair, for the opportunity to present Senate File 2268. Just very quickly, Mr. Chair, this is legislation being sought by the Minneapolis Parks and Recreation Board to allow its vendors and concessionaires to sell alcohol in parks, providing, of course, that they could obtain the necessary licenses from the city of Minneapolis. In short, as you look to the bill on line 3.25, it would create an exemption from the seating requirements of state law so as to allow for more flexibility at these locations where alcohol sales occur in the parks. A few years ago, we extended some of these exemptions to a few of the parks that we have in the system. This would open it up to all of the parks. The issue is both the vendors that we have, that are, quasi-permanent but seasonal, as well as the catering operations for event-oriented occasions, simply are the seating requirements of 25 covered seating spaces isn't practical in light of, some of the facilities and, of course, around some of the special events that we have. Mr. Chair, members, if you've been to especially the Minneapolis parks that are larger, that are more, part of the regional system, whether that's Biddy-McCoska or Harriet or Nokomis or the Falls, we have permanent vendors, restaurants, if you will, that have a presence. Some of those can provide liquor sales, others can't because of this constraint. And then, of course, we have special events where the 25 covered spaces is just simply impractical. It's kind of a change of tradition, if you will, a change of sensibility. You know, for a long time, zero liquor anywhere within the boundaries of a park was accepted as what was desirable. That hasn't been the case for a long, long time. So we have sea salt, for example, at Minnehaha Falls, where you can get a really nice meal and, you know, a nice cold adult beverage to accompany your meal, and it's really nice. People really enjoy that experience, and it has a fairly substantial benefit because some of the sales from those concessionaires supports the parks. With that, Mr. Chair, I have Shane Stenzel from the Minneapolis Park and Rec Board who could shed a little more light on this proposal.
Thank you, Senator Dibble. Mr. Stenzel, please introduce yourself and proceed.
Thank you, Chair. Shane Stenzel, Minneapolis Park and Recreation Board. Thank you, Senators, for the opportunity today to hear our bill with regards to allowing us to get a liquor license for those establishments that don't meet the requirement of 25 seats. Again, we point out that a lot of our operations are really seasonal. They were built as concessions. We've expanded into the restaurant venue and have done quite well. As Senator Dibble pointed out, Sea Salt has been at the Minnehaha Falls for 20 years. They have the 25 seats. Nokomis, which has had a concessionaire for 40 years, does not meet the 25-seat requirement, so they're unable to get a liquor license currently. There are other programs that we are looking at as well, one being something similar to what Milwaukee and Philadelphia do, which is called Parks on Tap. It's a mobile-type restaurant that goes to a park for a period of time, 3 or 4 or 5 days. The parks would support that, setting it up, seating, outdoor seating, and then it moves to another park the next weekend. So consider it like a mobile restaurant where we would work with our local concessionaires and providers to offer that service. All of these come with an agreement through our elected park officials, and then would be still required to get a liquor license through the city of Minneapolis.
Thank you, Mr. Senator Dibble.
Just a couple of thoughts to add. One is, of course, the area in which the seating would occur, not necessarily covered, would be defined, of course. And so it's not about, you know, selling a bottle of beer and having someone wander all over the park with that. It would be in the dining area, even though it might not be covered, but it'd be adjacent to the event or the concessionaire, number one. Number two, the city of Minneapolis is present in the room, and they do not object to this proposal.
Thank you so much. Member questions or comments? Senator Dibble, Senate File 2268 is laid over.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and members.
Senator Pratt. Welcome to the committee, Senator Pratt. Senate File 5050 is in front of the committee.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and members of the committee. And before I begin, I would just like to thank my co-authors, Senator Herr, Senator Housley, and tomorrow Senator Pa will officially be added to the bill. So we have a good bipartisan bill. Senate File 5050 is really a simple bill that gives the city of St. Paul the authority to issue a limited liquor license for the Songren Festival this May 18th and 19th. This legislation would just simply create a temporary exemption to Statute 340A and allow malt beverages to be served. And with that, Mr. Chair, I'll let my testifier talk about the event itself.
Welcome to the committee, Ms. Tai Tai. Please introduce yourself for the record and proceed.
Yes, Chair Klein and members of the committee, for the record, my name is Lydia Tai Tai, and I serve as the program manager for the Thai Cultural Council of Minnesota. Thank you for the opportunity today to testify on the Senate File 5050 on behalf of the Thai Cultural Council of Minnesota. Yin, our president, sends her regards to the committee as she is in Chicago for meetings with the Royal Thai Consulate and others as they are hard at work preparing for the this year Minnesota Songkran Festival. Since 2022, the Thai Cultural Council of Minnesota has been proud of the success of the Minnesota Songkran Festival held on the Capitol lawn just outside of this building each May. This two-day event has grown rapidly from 20,000 total attendance in 2022, our first year, to 30,000 last year, and has featured world-class demonstrations of Thai culture, including food, dance, fashion, and music. This year, we are expecting attendance to grow even further. As the Minnesota Songkran Festival has grown, we are continuing to explore the partnerships with others from Minnesota's Asian Pacific communities. This bill would allow the Thai Cultural Council of Minnesota to offer beer sales at the Songkran not just through our own organization, as currently allowed, but would allow us to form a new concession partnership to sell beer in a carefully managed site during the Songkran. The funds from these sales will go on to serve as the important source of funds to support our community. This small but meaningful change will allow Songkran to continue to grow and allow us to further support Minnesota's Thai and other Asian Pacific communities as well. We ask the community for its support. Once again, thank you for the opportunity today.
Thank you, Ms. Tai Tai. I have listed Mr. Andrew Morris. Is he present wanting to testify?
I didn't see Mr. Morris. He was with the Council of Asian Pacific Minnesotans. As a board member of the Council on Asian Pacific Minnesotans, I can tell you that the council supports this bill.
Thank you so much, Senator Pratt. And members, this is a wonderful handout. Thank you so much for this.
Thank you
Looks like
so
a
much.
great
We worked
festival.
really hard on it.
Yeah.
Our festival are volunteer run. So,
Questions or comments from the committee for Senator Pratt? Senator Pratt, Senate File 5050 is laid over.
Thank you very much,
thank you
members.
so much.
Senator Lang.
Well, good afternoon, Mr. Chair and members.
Senator Lang, Senate File 4557 is in front of the committee.
Well, again, thank you for taking the time to hear my bill this afternoon. This bill comes to me from the city of Litchfield. And, oh, sorry, you're going to go through the, you did get the amendment? I'm sorry.
Senator Lang, do you have an amendment?
There was an amendment adopted in the House last week that we just received this morning, so we tried to get it over to you. I could talk about the amendment if you want to talk about it now, and I won't offer it at the time being, but I can come back and offer it when you do your omnibus.
Yeah, why don't you let us know what that amendment is, Senator Lang?
Okay, so this is such a great idea, that not only did we grant this permission to the city of Litchfield to sell intoxicating liquor at the baseball field there in town last year for 12 days. And I don't know if you all got a chance to look at the written testimony from one of my testifiers, but he does go to mention some of the events that were held in Litchfield and why exactly they wanted to have this permit to be extended. So that affects statute 624, 701, 340 alpha.404, of course, and then the request just is from the city of Litchfield to allow strong beer over the 3.2 that they have had the permission to do in the past, to be sold at the town ball baseball games in Litchfield, and they've sold 3.2 for decades, and this is just, hopefully they'd like to go a little bit further beyond that. And the amendment that I spoke of just a couple of minutes ago had to do with Eden Valley Watkins wanting to jump on board. So I do have that in writing here. I could pass it into the committee after the fact, but it pretty much is word for word the same as the underlying bill 4557. So so that, in a nutshell, Mr. Chair, is the request that we grant them a little bit of extra permission. And the one thing I would note is both of these become effective upon the city council, or in this case, the school board from the city of Litchfield approving this. So they have sent a letter of support both from the council and the city. So I think we're in good standing. But that's where it lays, Mr. Chair, and that's the bill in its entirety.
Thank you, and you have no testifiers. Senator Lang, we don't have the amendment before the committee today, and it sounds like it wouldn't be easily amenable to an oral amendment, so I wonder if we could just address 4557 today and take that to conference and kind of see how it works out.
Sure. I could offer it as an oral, or I could hand it to you, whatever would be easier.
Senator Dames?
Mr. Chair, I'd be willing to offer it as an oral amendment. I think there is a letter in here from, it was sent to Dean Erdahl requesting that they be I would certainly be willing to offer the oral amendment if it's all right if we do that.
Senator Dames, go ahead.
Well, this oral amendment would just include the other organization, which I believe is a school district. Is that correct, Senator Lang?
Senator Lang.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. That is, it's the city of Watkins as a whole. That would go along with the city of Watkins resolution that should be in your packet. And I can actually, if you allow me to come up, I
Get
can
the
hand you
page.
We got it.
We have the letter of the resolution number.
Council's reviewing the amendment, and when ready, she'll report the amendment.
Sorry, Mr. Chair, I thought I was going to be quick with that.
Senator Dames and Senator Lang, the council's advising me this is not quite so easy as just an oral amendment. If it's okay, I'll ask you to withdraw and try to deal with it in conference, yeah.
Chair, I'll withdraw my request for oral amendment.
Sounds good. Other member questions or comments on 4557? Senator Lang, your bill is laid over.
Thank you,
Enjoy
Mr.
that
Chair,
town
members.
hall. Senator Carlson. Welcome to the committee. Senator Carlson, Senate File 3341 is in front of the committee.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and members. I have Senate File 3341 that authorizes on-sale liquor license in the city of Eagan. 3341 authorizes the city of Eagan to issue up to 3 on-sale intoxicating liquor licenses for multi-use sports and event center in Eagan. The license can be issued for premises that is not compact and contiguous for sales on all days of the week. MV Ventures is currently planning development of an indoor-outdoor multi-use sports and event center at the Eagan Vikings Lakes campus near the Minnesota Vikings NFL training facility and the Omni Hotel. This, as required in statute, the issuing of these licenses by the city must be done only after the legislative approval has been given. To speak more about the issue and the plans, I have Mr. Steve Poppin here from MV Ventures who can answer any questions.
Thank you, Senator Carlson. Mr. Poppin, please introduce yourself and proceed.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair, members. My name is Steve Poppin. I serve as the Executive Vice President and Chief Financial Officer of MV Ventures. We develop, manage, and activate best-in-class destinations in Minnesota. MV Ventures is planning the development of a multi-use sports and event center at Viking Lakes campus in Eagan, near the Minnesota Vikings NFL training facility and the Omni Viking Lakes Hotel. The event center is intended to be a premier venue for live entertainment programming, as well as corporate conventions and other business and leisure uses. The facility will include full-service kitchen and the ability to provide a variety of food and beverage offerings both inside the venue and at the outdoor event spaces. The event center project is currently in the planning and design phase. The ability to obtain an on-sale liquor license is needed in order to move it into the development phase for us. Legislative approval is necessary before the city of Eagan may consider a liquor license application for this facility for a facility of this type. Senate File 3341 would grant the city of Eagan the authority, allowing MV Ventures to seek local approval to offer on-sale liquor at the facility. MV Ventures work collaboratively with the Office of the Eagan City Attorney on this language. and appreciate the letter of support submitted by the City of Eagan for today's hearing. We would like to thank Senator Carlson for carrying this bill, and we hope the committee will include this language in the omnibus bill. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Poppin and Senator Carlson. Member questions or comments? Members, Senate File 3341 is laid over. Senator Kunesh.
Thank you. Maybe you could better set it up real quick.
Welcome to the committee. Senator Kunesh, Senate File 3479 is in front of the committee. I see you have an A2 author's amendment. Senator Frentz offers the A2. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? A2 is adopted. Senator Kunesh.
Thank you so much, Chair and members. I'm bringing this bill before you on behalf of Spring Lake Park, and I have the city administrator here with me to give you a little bit more information about why this is important for them. But as you know, temporary on-sale intoxicating liquor license are only available to clubs, charitable, religious, or other nonprofits that have existed for at least 3 years. Our Lions Clubs, Legion Clubs, VFW churches, and JC foundations, business associations, and other nonprofits obtained their temporary liquor license for fundraising events, community festivals, and other events. So currently, temporary on-sale intoxicating liquor licenses are approved by the local government and then issued to the Commissioner of Public Safety. The Alcohol and Gambling Enforcement reviews license applications temporary intoxicating liquor license once a month. So for instance, license applied for events in June, they will review and approve them on the first business day in June. For events at the beginning of that month, there is little lead time between the issuance of the license and the actual event, which makes it very difficult for organizations to be assured that they'll have that licensure. So we're asking temporary on sale 3-2 liquor license issued by local governments. The Commissioner of Public Safety is notified of that license within 10 days of issuing. And then with our amendment, that would conform to the temporary on-sale intoxicating liquor license process with the temporary on-sale 3-2 liquor license. This will ensure more timely issuance of temporary intoxicating liquor license while still maintaining the statewide database that the liquor industry relies on to determine if they can sell liquor to the licensee. And so with that, if it's all right, I'm going to turn it over to Spring Lake Park City Administrator.
Welcome to the committee, Mr. Buckholz. Please introduce yourself and proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and members. My name's Dan Buchholz. I'm the city administrator for the city of Spring Lake Park, where I've served for the past 11 years, and I'm here to testify in support of Senate File 3479. We feel that this bill will simplify the issuance of temporary intoxicating liquor licenses in cities and counties across Minnesota, and it will treat the issuance of temporary intoxicating liquor licenses in the same way as temporary 3.2% malt liquor licenses are treated. So as the senator mentioned, the current system causes a lot of difficulties for cities, for events, especially at the beginning of the month. And last year, for instance, the Spring Lake Park Lions Club submitted their application to the city council in mid-February to serve intoxicating liquor on a temporary basis at our Tower Days celebration on June 10th and 11th. The council approved that license on February 21st and emailed the application to Alcohol and Gambling Enforcement that week. We did not receive the signed license from AGE until June 2nd. So that's a very short window for an organization made up of volunteers to try and coordinate the purchase of liquor for our Tower Days event. I've heard from numerous city clerks that they've also faced this same situation. City staff, when we receive these applications, we review them for completeness and for proof of dram shop insurance prior to city council approval, and we've never had a license application returned from AGE for being incomplete. When we issue a temporary 3-2 malt liquor license, I fill out this form and send it to AGE within 10 days of approval. We're requesting that same process, and that's what the bill does, for the temporary intoxicating liquor licenses. So that will ensure that the state's liquor license database will remain up to date for the liquor industry. Our support for this bill should not be misconstrued as a reflection of our opinion for the work AGE does. They're very helpful in assisting us and city clerks across Minnesota interpreting the state's liquor laws. Rather, this support just underscores our commitment to improving the licensing process and promoting better outcomes for our licensees. Thank you.
Thank you. And is Mr. Joel Carlson here to testify? Welcome to the committee, Mr. Carlson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and members. I'm Joel Carlson, and I represent the Minnesota Wine and Spirit Wholesalers Association. I've had the pleasure of communicating with the city manager about their concern, and I appreciate wanting to have that license in a timely basis. That's not our issue. But we do have some significant concerns about taking AGED out of the intoxicating license process. You need to know that, to purchase alcohol from a wholesaler, you need to have a license. And that license comes with the approval, the Good Housekeeping seal of approval from AGED. And that means that they have met the requirements, that they are not on the posted list of someone that we cannot sell alcohol to because they haven't paid their taxes or they've have credit extended to them that we're no longer able to sell to them. And that is a check that is not done at the local level. And so the reason that that's important for us is that AGED does not issue a buyer's card on a temporary license. So getting that approval from AGD, and we know they have a license, is very important to wholesalers because we know we're making a legal sale. It isn't that we want to delay their process or make sure that the volunteers can't make their purchase, but with a temporary license, they can buy from a liquor store, they can buy from a wholesaler. They don't need a buyer's card to go in and do it, and we really think taking AGD out of that process is maybe a step too far for us in the purchasing process because we do not want to sell to people outside the posting list, and we don't have verification if that happens unless AGED is involved in the process. That also, by the way, is done through the Department of Revenue because these people have to pay their taxes. And if you can get on the posting list because you have a delinquent tax, you're not eligible to purchase liquor, and they do that check as well. We do it on our end, but we need to have AGD involved. So that's our concern. It isn't that we care about getting the license on time. So thank you, Mr. Chair and members.
Thank you, Mr. Carlson. Member questions or comments on this one? Senator Duckworth.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I won't interrupt the flow because we're moving pretty quick, so I'll just make a couple statements. I'd be curious to get the commissioner or the department's take on this bill. I think it's interesting. I would imagine there is a purpose for them having to approve the license right now, and so to remove that entirely from their purview, I just don't know what the second and third order effects of that would be. Another question I would have, that I'm just going to ask it rhetorically, would be, could it be possible that a temporary license would be issued and the event take place before the commissioner or the department is ever even made aware of the event? I don't know what the timelines are. I understand the need or the desire to expedite a process. Nothing is more frustrating than getting your application in way in advance and not getting it approved or looked at until just before an event. That's unacceptable. So I think rather than removing a department entirely from the process, perhaps we just seek to add accountability, which is, hey, you have 15 or 30 days, whatever the time they might be, to respond to and take action upon an application for a temporary license when it is submitted. That way you can ensure the department is meeting acceptable timelines rather than simply removing them from the process altogether. That's all I've got, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
I think those are good suggestions, Senator Duckworth. Any response from Senator Kunish or the testifier?
I appreciate that, and I think that would essentially, that would achieve our goal. Our goal really is to expedite the process for these licenses, because I'll get calls from the Lions Club or some of these other agencies asking me, where's our license? And all I say is, you'll get it at the beginning of the month when AGE approves it and sends it to us. So It's very frustrating for the licensees. It's frustrating for us because we're in the middle of it and they think that we're the ones delaying it, and we're not. We send it out as soon as we get it from the state, and we're just trying to improve this process, so.
Mr. Carlson?
Mr. Chair, members, Senator Duckworth, I think that's an excellent suggestion. That would give us comfort that we're selling to a valid licensee. I have checked with the AGD, though. There is no backlog of licenses. They do approve them. It's not like there's a pile of them sitting there waiting to be approved. But putting a timeline in there, to approve it, I think is an excellent suggestion that would solve everybody's problems. Thank you.
Any other member questions or comments? So as with all the other alcohol bills today, we'll be laying this one over, but that does seem like a reasonable suggestion to solve the problem while still maintaining a responsible alcohol policy in the state of Minnesota from Senator Duckworth, so. Senate File 3479 is laid over. Thank you, Senator Knish. Senator Howell. Welcome to the committee, Senator Howell. Senate File 3244 is in front of the committee.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And members, this bill, what it would do, currently the way it's structured is that you can, for some reason, the state of Minnesota does not allow a distillery to have a cocktail room. And if they happen to be a brewery, you cannot co-locate a tap room and a cocktail room. Now, you can have a wine tasting room with a distillery, and you can have a wine tasting room with a tap room. So the only entity that can't have both is a distillery and a brewery. So there actually, I believe, is only one currently in the state, happens to be located in Roseville. And the current structure of the bill basically gives a carve-out for that entity to continue. And I was debating on whether to offer the amendment, but I actually believe that we probably should not only just carve this out for the brewdistillery in Roseville, we probably should allow it to everyone. So with that, Mr. Chair, I'd like to offer the A1 amendment.
We'll just get that distributed, Senator Howell.
And, Mr. Chair,
Senator Howell.
what's being handed out currently is there is he had a petition signed, and there was 173 more pages. I decided to not have that all printed. And the other thing is just a one sheet that basically describes some of the issues he's come up with. But with that, Mr. Chair, I would like to, well, first of all, I'd like to vote on the A1 amendment.
And Senator Howe, this is the committee origin, so this is an author's amendment from Senator Howe. Senator Howe offers the A1 amendment. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? The A1 is adopted. Can you describe it for us a little more carefully, Senator Howe?
So basically what the A1 amendment does is it deletes that no single entity may hold a cocktail room and a tap room license, and a cocktail room and a tap room may not be co-located. And it deletes the added exception that was going to allow the brewdistillery to be the only one in the state. So basically, I instead of going with the original language, I'm just deleting that, and then what it does is add an effective date of August 1, 2024. That's what we just adopted.
Senator Howe, so as I understand it, if we had not amended the bill, we would really just be allowing this one brewdistillery that had been in existence in the past to have this process going forward. Now you've kind of opened it up so that if anybody wants to start a business along these lines, they would be licensed to do so. Is that accurate?
Yeah, that's accurate, Mr. Chair. It actually, I just turned it into a freedom bill.
Gotcha. Other member questions? Senator Dames.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Senator Howe, can you tell me You say there's one right now that has the tap room and a micro distillery together?
Senator Howe?
They have a tap room and a micro distillery, but they do not have a cocktail room.
Right.
In order to have a drink there, you have to buy a bottle of their stuff without ever
Correct.
tasting it.
So currently, we do not have any doing that, correct?
Senator Howe?
Correct. Senator Dames, could you tell me why we don't have one?
Senator Dames?
Because it's not lawful in the state of Minnesota. Now, if you want to change the law, I understand that. But at the current time, the reason there isn't one, there aren't any, is because of the law. And so why that law was drawn up years ago, I'm not sure. But I was just asking, I thought I understood that somebody thought there was actually one in existence now, and I just wanted to clarify to make sure I wasn't wrong. Thank you, Senator Howe.
Other member questions or comments? Senator Howe, any closing comments or?
Well, I was going to have my testifier come
Oh,
up
yeah,
if he's
Senator,
here.
Mr. Carlson.
Bartley Bloom.
Oh, yeah. Mr. Bartley Bloom and Mr. Joel Carlson.
I guess I'm carrying it myself. That
Okay.
works. So, Senator,
Mr. Carlson, did you want to speak to the bill?
I thought I was waiting. Usually the proponents go first, but.
well, he was here earlier, but I don't know where he went.
Mr. Chair, members, Joel Carlson for the Wine and Spirit Wholesalers. And I think you'd have a longer list of witnesses that would want to put in comments on this bill based on the amendment, which, as I understand it, which I haven't seen yet, pretty much expands this open to everyone who wants to co-locate a tap room and a cocktail room. And, you know, we have had long concerns shared by many of you on this committee about blending our three-tier system of alcohol regulation. And we have 3 lanes. You can be a supplier or manufacturer, you can be a wholesaler, or you can be a retailer. And we've taken great strides to keep people in their lanes. Over the past many years, we've made some exceptions to that. We've allowed manufacturers to sell directly to the public. We've allowed them to sell on site. That's really kind of an unfair competition to the retail tier that is selling to the public because they can manufacture it, they don't have to distribute it, and they can sell it directly to the public. That's unfair. But we've made those changes. But when we created a cocktail room in 2015, one of the things that we didn't want to do was turn them into full bars. And when you now bring alcohol into your cocktail room, or excuse me, your tap room, you are really just creating an unfair advantage to other retail establishments that can't manufacture their own product. And so we have been opposed to this proposal for probably 10 years now, that it has been floating around because it creates an unfair competition among retail establishments that aren't able to manufacture on site. It cuts the wholesale tier out of the 3-tier system. And so it just creates an unfairness. And we have been opposed to that because it allows this entity to be all 3 of the 3-tier system. They can manufacture it, they can sell it to consumers, and now they can sell it in packages to consumers based on a bill that was passed in 2021. And so we do have concerns about that and the continued erosion of the 3-tier system of alcohol regulation. And so that is our concern, and happy to answer questions about it. But that is the reason why the bill is written, the law is written the way it is.
Thank you, Mr. Carlson. Senator Howe.
Thank you, Chair Klein. Mr. Carlson, can you tell me, can a winery have a tasting room and sell their product?
Senator, Mr. Carlson.
Mr. Chair and members, under 340A, a farm winery can actually have a full liquor license, and so can a brew pub. So they can sell alcohol at their establishment if they get an appropriate license. That is not the case in this situation where you're able to be a manufacturer of both products and sell them on site directly to consumers.
Senator Howell.
Chair Klein, I guess what I look at, you can produce your wine, bottle your wine, have a tasting room there, and sell that wine to the consumer. You can brew your beer and sell your beer at the same location. And you can actually co-locate those two together. And you can actually have a winery and sell your wine, and a distillery and a cocktail room together. But by gosh, in this state, you can't have a brewery and a cocktail, you can't have a tap room with a brewery, with a distillery and a tasting room, a cocktail room together. I fail to see the difference in those three entities. But yet, some way, somehow, we decided way back when to put that in and prohibit it, and now we're gonna continue that. And I don't understand what the difference is between bottling your own wine and selling it and having a tasting room, brewing your own beer, selling it, and having a tasting room, and you can do that with a winery and a distillery, but don't do it with a brewery and a distillery. Convince me that's right. But with that, Mr. Chair, I'll go to my testifier.
Mr. Bloom, welcome to the committee. Please introduce yourself and proceed.
Thank you, Chair Klein, committee members, and Senator Howe. My name is Bartley Bloom, and I'm the owner and founder of Bent Brew Distillery in Roseville. I'm also the head distiller, part-time bartender, mop squeezer, light bulb changer, payroll processor, vendor negotiator, everything. We are a small mom and pop shop. My wife and I are the only sole owners. I'm here because the state of Minnesota does not allow us to have the cocktail room. Of the 25 or so other micro distilleries in Minnesota, we're the only one that cannot have a cocktail room. In 2014, when the cocktail room law was written into the state statutes, the inclusion of that provision that says no entity or location will simultaneously have the brewer's taproom license and the cocktail room license at the same time. Hopefully this grandfather clause would help change that. We were incorporated in 2011, before the huge boom even happened. Federal beer and federal liquor production licenses were procured in 2013. Minnesota State Beer Production License was granted in 2013 as well, and our liquor production license was granted in 2014. We are one of the early adopters of the craft industry here, and we like to keep that going. The cocktail room was enacted for the consumer to have an on-site experience that they can take with them. They could take with them and continue to purchase the products through the three-tiered system, through our partner retailers out there in the industry, of which we have somewhere around 400 locations that currently carry our products. Not many of those carry our spirit products. And a big part of that is because our inability to give people the experience of sampling it for the first time for themselves. Once they realize that the cocktails are easy to make, they can make them themselves at home, which is the growing trend nowadays. Less people are going out and more people are drinking at home, which is probably good for everybody. Once our tap room opened, the demand for our beers grew exponentially, and we expect the same thing to happen with the cocktail room. All 25 Minnesota distilleries are allowed to have this cocktail room to serve their handmade spirit products except for us. The combination of a winery and brewery is allowed, so is a winery and distillery. That's not so different than the winery or the distillery and the brewery. There's a concern that changing the state law for one company isn't really justified. We're not so much as trying to change the law for one company as we are trying to reverse a law that was written against one company. There's also the fear that retailers will suffer. Retailers will all benefit from this because of the increased volume through the three-tiered system and through our retail partners that do carry our liquor products. There's the fear that this will open the door to large national companies. Minnesota state statutes already protect against big corporations. We are already very well protected from the big guys coming in and wiping out us little small guys. And only the micro distillery is allowed to have a cocktail room license. If big corporations wanted to do this, they would have done it already. I mean, how many years has this been going on? As Joe mentioned, we've been discussing this for the last 10 years. There's the fear that we would have an unfair advantage over other existing retailers or be a bar, quote unquote. There's absolutely no way we can become a bar If that were an option, I'd apply for that license gladly. We are not allowed to have a liquor license as described in Minnesota state statutes, only the manufacturer's license. A liquor license allows a retailer to serve anything under the sun. They can buy whatever products they want to and mix whatever things they want to. We can only serve what we make. Someone cannot come to our place and get a Jack and Coke. We don't have Jack. So it's a very, very big distinction between the manufacturer's facility and a bar. And again, it's only what we make on premise. We're not buying cordials, we're not buying all these big brands. So there's been a huge downturn in the industry, and my wife and I are just, all we want to do is earn a living wage. This law, this bill, going forward into law, would take us one more step in that direction. Thank you for your time and consideration and for possible inclusion in the liquor omnibus bill.
Thank you, Mr. Bloom. Member questions or comments? Senator Howell, Senate File 3244 as amended is laid over.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Senator Frentz. Welcome to the committee. Senate File 4820 is in front of the committee. Senator Frentz.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chair, and thanks, members, for your time and attention. These bills relate to individual municipalities. They're all important if we're going to be statewide. It's not just Eagan, Litchfield, Minneapolis, St. Paul, or Spring Lake Park. It's also Mankato. However, the bill before you expands the definition of hotel slightly to recognize this simple fact. When I was a young man, there was no such thing as a boutique hotel, but they're growing, offering options to Minnesotans that weren't available back in the day. Things that customers want, things that were not consumer applicable 25 years ago. And I bring this bill before you to adjust the number of rooms in the hotel definition from 25 to 20. That's all I'm asking for. But it has an implication for hospitality, has an implication for some good friends of mine in the Mankato area. And with that, I have some testifiers, Mr. Chair, that will bring forward a little bit more light to this. But before I do that, Mr. Chair, just to be clear, I'm adjusting 340A 101 subdivision 3, just the definition of hotel, and just from 25 to 20 rooms. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Senator Frentz. Ms. Sims, please introduce yourself and proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good afternoon, members. My name is Jill Sims. I'm the Director of Government Relations at Hospitality Minnesota. We represent Minnesota's restaurant and food service, hotels and lodging, resorts, campgrounds, and more. We appreciate the opportunity to weigh in on Senate File 4820. Thank you to Senator Frentz for carrying this legislation, and Hospitality Minnesota offers its full support for this bill. The pandemic has fundamentally changed the way people travel. We see less business travel, more leisure travel, but even so, people seem to be looking for something different, something smaller, more secluded experiences. As a result, we are seeing some smaller, what we like to call boutique hotels come to market. Generally, these properties have a small set of rooms and are focused on delivering a unique, curated experience with a high level of customer service. One challenge we learned that boutique hotels face is in second-class cities, meaning cities with populations of 20,000 to 100,000, is that if they are smaller than 25 rooms, they are unable to get a liquor license. This legislation would allow boutique hotels with at least 20 rooms or with a dining room to pursue a liquor license. As our hospitality market moves more towards an experience-driven service, giving a boutique hotel the opportunity to offer, say, a celebratory or romance package with a bottle of champagne, the ability to host a minibar in the room, this would allow them to operate on the same playing field as other hotels. Like you, I was surprised to learn of this unique hiccup for our boutique hotels. After reading through statute and meeting with Alcohol and Gambling Enforcement Division, there doesn't seem to be a clear picture of where the definition of hotel came from in 340A. Generally in statute, hotels are defined in Chapter 157 or 327, and the existing definition that we're reviewing in 340A.101 is a little bit different. So we believe that the proposed changes today would help better align with the needs of our future hotel market in Minnesota, giving hoteliers and consumers a range of options when building and booking lodging. Again, we're thankful for Senator Frentz's leadership on this issue, and thank you to the committee for consideration. We ask members to support Senate File 4820, and we're happy to stand for any questions. Thank you.
Before you leave the table, Ms. Sims, we're just changing it from 25 to 20 rooms to sort of define a hotel. Are some of the newer boutique hotels even smaller than that? Is 20 the right number? Can you comment on that, Ms. Sims?
That's a great question. We have seen, I would say it varies. The bigger challenge, and you'll hear from a hotel operator today, when we talked with alcohol and gambling, they were comfortable going down to 15. I would say our boutique hotels, generally, we see anywhere from 10 plus to 50 rooms. And in that second-class cities, that 20,000 to 100,000, we feel comfortable with the 20 number, but we'd certainly be willing to go down to 15, and that number with alcohol and gambling also felt comfortable with. What we probably see right now, and I don't have a full list of boutique hotels in front of me, generally up north is probably where you're gonna see more of those smaller hotels, so they don't even hit that second-class city threshold. So they are, I believe the number is 10 or under, so as long as they have 10 rooms, then they would be allowed. So that's where our second-class cities, and I don't like to refer to any city like that, but by their statutory designation, are sort of caught in this little hiccup, if you will.
Thank you, Ms. Sims. Mr. Wilkie, please introduce yourself for the record and proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. My name is Andy Wilkie, Executive Vice President of Greater Mankato Growth, the Chamber of Commerce and Economic Development Organization, serving 900 members in the Greater Mankato area. Our organization also includes Visit Mankato, the regional destination development organization with a mission to promote and grow the visitor economy in our region. Thank you for the opportunity to testify today. Greater Mankato is a vibrant and growing greater Minnesota metro hub with a large trade area. We attract a workforce from an area that includes 22 counties in southern Minnesota and northern Iowa. We have the highest rate of retail spending per capita, more than any other Minnesota metro, and agriculture is at the core of our economy. We are the green seam today on the National Ag Day. More soybeans are processed in Mankato than any other city in North America. Visitor spending is also a critical part of our overall economy, and that's what brings us here today, a simple bill that will allow a new type of business to offer beer and wine to their guests. One such business is a new and exciting hotel property called Arch and Cable, managed by Hospitality Ventures. Making a small change, reducing the number of required rooms from 25 to 20, will ensure they can provide a first-class, full-service experience in a unique setting. You will hear more about this property from Kate DeBates, owner and managing partner of Hospitality Ventures. Her business fills a void that did not exist prior to their opening. Changing consumer behavior has required that she and others in the hospitality sector to innovate and new and unique experiences. We will continue to see new concepts that have not been contemplated by current statute. We hope this small change in statute will unlock additional investment opportunities for other entrepreneurs throughout the state. We'd like to thank Senator Nick Frentz for carrying this bill and our friends at Hospitality Minnesota for being a statewide partner in this effort. We hope you'll support Senate File 4820.
Thank you, Mr. Wilkie. Ms. DeBates, please introduce yourself and proceed.
Hello, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. My name is Kate DeBates. I'm the owner and managing partner of Hospitality Ventures. We are an all-women-owned hotel development group, and thank you for the opportunity to testify today. As mentioned, we're a hospitality group that includes myself and 2 other partners. The 3 of us each bring different business acumen to the table, but we're all proud graduates of Minnesota State University Mankato and have a love for southern Minnesota. We currently operate 1 hotel, Arch and Cable, as mentioned, with our second property, Hotel Alexander, coming down the pipeline, set to open later this year. We started our boutique hotel concepts to fill a gap in the marketplace, as Mr. Wilkie said. Mankato has a limited downtown hotel establishments and even more of a limited selection when it comes to unique or a bespoke stay, something travelers seek out. Our hotels are 20 and 28 rooms respectively. They feature local art, unique construction and design, lobby events, and an elevated and endlessly comfortable stay. We focus on providing 5-star experiences for guests each time they visit, with an emphasis on getting out and exploring Mankato. Our first concept, Arch and Cable Hotel, is just 20 rooms, and we're actually on the 4th floor of a mixed-use building newer to downtown Mankato. Our lobby is on the ground floor with room for guests to gather and unwind, while all of our rooms are securely located on the 4th floor of the building. Our second concept, Hotel Alexander, will repurpose a vacant office building in the downtown core, absorbing more than 18,000 square feet of unused office space. An important part of our guest experience includes offering a variety of food and beverage options, and I'm excited to be surrounded by like minds today. I was dismayed to learn that there was a state statute that limited liquor licenses to hotels with at least 25 rooms and a dining room, especially when in our industry, boutique hotels are defined as 20 rooms or less, and independent hotels would be above the 20-room threshold. These numbers seem arbitrary, and later I learned that they sort of are arbitrary. I engaged with our industry trade group, Hospitality Minnesota, and my local Chamber of Commerce to see what could be done about it. They did the research, connected me with Senator Frentz and the appropriate agency personnel. The result is here before you today, a simple bill that will allow small, innovative business owners an opportunity to deliver great service and experience to our guests like us. We're proud to invest our time and capital to help our community grow. We're eager to elevate hospitality experiences for visitors to Mankato, and we hope our efforts will help similar risk takers throughout Minnesota and maybe even in your districts. Thank you, Senator Nick Frentz, for authoring this bill, and thank you for the opportunity to testify today. I hope you'll consider your support for File 4820.
Well, thank you, Ms. Debates, and we'll look forward to staying at the Hotel Alexander next time we visit Senator Frentz in Mankato.
Thank you.
Member questions or comments for any of the testifiers or for Senator Frentz? Senate File 4820 is laid over.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and members.
Senator Rasmusson. Welcome to the committee, Senator Rasmusson. Senate File 1306 is in front of us. Is it the A3 that you're offering as your amendment?
Yes, Mr. Chair, thank you. I have the A3 author's amendment that I'll offer at this time.
Senator Rasmusson moves the A3 as an author's amendment. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? To your bill, Senator Rasmusson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I appreciate the opportunity to talk about this issue today. Under current Minnesota law, once a liquor retailer has purchased wine from a wholesaler, it has to stay at the location it was delivered to. And so as an example, the Fergus Falls Municipal Liquor Store, which has 2 locations, one on the east side of Fergus Falls, another on the west, once they receive a wine delivery to their east location, they legally cannot move it from that location to another location, even though they own it. So if they had 25 cases at one of their locations, but perhaps had a challenge selling all that inventory, or they ran out of it at a different location, under Minnesota law, there's no way for them to move that wine from one location to another. In addition, Mr. Chair and members, there's also limitations because of our liquor laws on discounts or selling below cost that could allow them to sell that inventory. And they also cannot return the inventory. If they have purchased inventory, it's landed there, they cannot return it to the wholesaler. So there's this issue of stranded inventory that we can see within wine. So the bill before the committee would allow transfers of wine between retail locations, and the bill before you has a number of restrictions that have been shaped by conversations with different concerned parties, and I really appreciate the input and conversations that we've had on this bill. I'll just talk through some of those restrictions that are in the bill today on this wine transfer. Number one, it has to be within common ownership. So the Fergus Falls Liquor Store could only transfer to the other location that they own. They wouldn't be able to go to another retailer. You cannot be on the credit list, which means that you've paid your bills to the wholesaler and aren't in any violations there. They have to provide 3-day business notice to both the wholesaler who sold the product in addition to the regulator. And at maximum, they can only do 1 transfer of wine per 3-month period. And so the most that you could have from a single location, if you timed it perfectly, would be 4 transfers per year. And then lastly, but also probably most important, is that there's a maximum 75 case limit per transfer. And so the limited transfers that would be allowed in this bill are really about helping retailers with stranded inventory problems, and is really not going to change their business model nor the business model of any other participants in our three-tier system. I think it's important, Mr. Chair, to talk about what this bill does not do. It does not apply to beer. It does not apply to liquor. It only applies to wine. It also does not allow warehousing. With the limitations that we have on this bill and the quantities and the only being able to, at maximum, move it 4 times per year, no liquor store could possibly do any type of central warehousing under this bill. It also does not break the three-tier system. All of the wine that would be sold and transferred would have purchased from a wholesaler. So I think there are some distinct benefits that this bill would provide to liquor retailers here in the state of Minnesota. Number one, it would help consumers have access to the right product in the right place at the right time. It would help retailers manage oftentimes complex inventories. It would help retailers sell the product that they have already purchased from our wholesalers. And it would also maintain the integrity of our three-tier system with this common sense limited reform. And so with that, Mr. Chair, I'm happy to turn it over to testifiers.
Thank you, Senator Rasmusson. Can Mindy Baker and Bill Restemeyer please come forward? Welcome to the committee, Ms. Baker. Please introduce yourself and proceed.
Thank you. Chairman Klein, members of the committee, thanks for having me. My name is Mindy Baker. I work for Total Wine and More on behalf of our 10 stores and about 400 or so employees here in Minnesota. I'm here to testify on behalf of this bill. If you were to ask any of our 400 employees, sort of the 3 tenets when you walk into when they're on shift in our store, sort of what their responsibility is, they have 3 things. The first is no minors, no minors, no minors. You have to say it 3 times like you're Dorothy in Kansas. The second is no lines. So if you see, more than 2 customers in line, you need to, and the third comes in, you need to open a new register. And the third is if it's in stock, it needs to be on the shelf. So we want to make sure that if the customer thinks it's there, we want it to be available to them. So if you've been in any of our stores, you'll know that most of our product is actually stored above our shelves. We don't have a large back room. It's all above the shelves. If you see it, it's there for you to purchase. That's why we're supporting Senate File 1306. This is a simple bill that doesn't substantially change how we do business within that 3-tier system. But what it does do is allow us to transfer a limited amount of wine, a limited number of times per year, but to make sure that that wine is available to the customers that want it, and it doesn't sit where customers that don't want it. Currently, wine goes bad. I wish we were all buying very expensive wine that can sit for a very long time. That's not always the case. So the wine, unfortunately, that most of us see every day in the stores, despite what we think, is a fragile commodity, is a perishable commodity, and it does go bad. So wine goes bad, it's going to sit there. We can't, as mentioned earlier, we can't sell it under cost, and we can't return it. So what we want to make sure is that the customers that want that particular wine have access to it, and we want to make sure it's in a location that they can get it. You might, like I said, hear an argument about warehousing. Again, the product is kept above. This is the opposite of warehousing. We're asking to be able to transfer product to where it can be sold. No retailer wants products sitting where they can't sell it. We want to get products to the customers who want it, and this bill allows us to do that. So thank you for your time.
Thank you, Ms. Baker. Mr. Restemeyer, please introduce yourself and go.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. My name is Bill Restemeyer, and I'm the logistics manager at DS Beverages. We're a beer and beverage distributor based out of Moorhead, Minnesota, and I'm proud to be part of the beer and beverage industry, especially to be part of a family-owned business. DS Beverages was founded by my grandfather in 1968 and has grown from 7 employees to over 95, and we service brands from over 80 suppliers to over 1,100 retail accounts throughout Minnesota. I'm a 3rd generation of my family to work in this business and look forward to helping grow our Minnesota business into the future. But today I am testifying in opposition to Senate File 1306, a bill that would allow large retailers to transfer product between multiple retail locations under common ownership. This would work to the benefit of large chain retailers and be detrimental to many of our local retail customers. These large retailers will use their market power to secure unprecedented quantity discounts that are not attainable by the vast majority of smaller, independent retailer locations. These large stockpiles will be stored at one location and then moved to other retail locations that are owned by the same chain. And that way, this bill invades the function that's reserved for beer and beverage distributors like my business, who we are tasked with transporting product to retail establishments and keeping record of those sales, making sure of proper product rotation and freshness. Current Minnesota law provides accountability and transparency where alcoholic beverages come to rest in the supplier's manufacturing facility, the distributor's warehouse, and subsequently a retail establishment, where product is being subject to audits and inspection to ensure that each member of our three-tier industry is complying with the law. The proposed legislation, though, cuts away at that accountability and the transparency, opening the door to poor record management keeping that only works in the benefit of a select few large retailers and putting the vast majority of our retail stores at a competitive disadvantage. So please do not disrupt the current market that has worked for so long for our Minnesota businesses. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Restemeyer. Can Mr. Joel Carlson and Miss Jennifer Schoenzeit come forward? Welcome back to the committee. Mr. Carlson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members. I'll try and be very brief. I risk overexposure, and you do not want me overexposed. Mr. Chairman, what this really is an exemption of is the offsite storage requirement in 340A 412 subdivision 12. And it also violates Minnesota rules 75150630 against excess storage and purchasing of product. We have long had concerns about this provision, both here and in other states where this has been attempted, because we do believe it is a forerunner to central warehousing. And let's talk about the volume that we're talking about here. 75 cases every 3 months times 10 stores is 9,000 bottles of wine that they would be able to transfer among themselves with the notification to AGED. And we think that that has the potential to be anti-competitive on purchasing. It is a disadvantage to small retailers who cannot buy in that kind of volume. And so we've long had concerns about this and its impact on the marketplace. And so we have concerns about it. And I do appreciate Senator Rasmusson working diligently to try and find, some type of compromise. But this, at 75 cases per store every 3 months, is just too large. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Carlson. Ms. Jennifer Schoenzeit, please introduce yourself and proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee. My name is Jennifer Schoenzeit. I own Zips Liquor Store in Minneapolis. I'm here to represent the Minnesota Liquor and Beverage Association, which includes Minnesota's small family-owned liquor retailers, both on sale and off sale, bars and restaurants. We strongly oppose this bill allowing unnecessary wine transfers. We call this the wine storage bill. Smaller retailers that are not big chains do not have the same equal access as large retailers. We cannot purchase the same amounts. Allowing retailers to transfer product from one store to another puts all independent retailers at a disadvantage. We also know this promotes central warehousing by big box retailers and circumvents the three-tier system. Essentially, this bill hurts the little guys and makes the unlevel playing field. And lastly, I would suggest if a retailer has a product that that they cannot get rid of, like most of us little liquor stores, we put them on sale or we get asked for a lot of donations. There's always a way to make the products go away.
Thank you, Ms. Schoenzeit.
Thank you.
Members' questions or comments? Senator Duckworth.
I just have a quick question, Mr. Chair. That testifier reminded me of a conversation I had. Senator Rasmusson, you may or may not be able to answer this question. If a liquor store is having problems moving a particular product, are they able to discount it and put it on sale to try to offload that inventory, or are there some limitations or restrictions there? Thank you.
Senator Rasmusson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, Senator Duckworth. Yes, retailers are allowed to do discounts. However, similar to conversations we had last year, there are below-cost prohibitions on alcohol, and so they are limited in how much they could discount that inventory by.
Senator Duckworth. Other questions or comments? Members, thanks so much for indulging several alcohol bills today. Almost all of them are sort of one-offs, permissions for events or venues to have an alcohol license. These last two, including this one, are more concept bills. It simply made sense to me, and I think to Senator Rasmusson, that if you've got 3 extra cases in wine in Eden Prairie and you've got a store over in Shakopee that needs them, you would be able to move it. The concerns about warehousing, the concerns about who transports it seemed like things that we could address and resolve, and I am very grateful for your efforts to try to do that. Unfortunately, we still had some opposition, but it still seems to make basic business sense to me. Any closing comments on the bill, Senator Rasmusson?
Thank you, Mr. Chair and members. I appreciate the conversation and the feedback from all the stakeholders, I think, to crafting the bill that's before the committee today. I also would be remiss if I didn't mention the letter of support from the city of Fergus Falls, who, as I mentioned, has 2 retail locations and is not a large chain retailer. The other thing I wanted to talk about is I understand the concerns with warehousing. I do not support warehousing. I don't think this committee should support warehousing. But the quantities that we're talking about in this bill are very limited, especially when we talk about some of the larger retailers in Minnesota can be selling thousands of cases of wine per week. When we think about 75 cases per 3-month period being the maximum, this is not going to change the business model for any part of the 3-tier system, but will simply allow a common sense process for moving stranded inventory to make sure that we can get the right product to the right location and to Minnesota consumers. So I appreciate the conversation today, and I'm happy, Mr. Chair, to continue conversations with all stakeholders on this bill.
Senate File 1306 as amended is laid over. Thank you, Senator Rasmusson.
Senator Klein, to your bill.
Thank you, Chair Seeberger and committee members. This is Senate File 3396, which would allow municipalities and counties to administer licenses to food retailers to sell strong malt liquor or beer. Members, the reason I brought this bill up, and I recognize there are opponents, was not to simply be provocative, but to actually address a function of this committee, which is consumer protection. Minnesota is the only remaining state which sells 3.2 beer in gas stations and grocery stores, and I consider it a fraudulent product. People come to the gas station thinking they're getting beer. If they're not familiar with Minnesota's historical and antiquated laws surrounding alcohol regulation, they are fooled into getting something that is less than beer. This simply says that when you buy your Coors at Super America, you are getting Coors. I was careful in the bill to put the control over this at the municipal and county level. If a municipality or a county has a municipal liquor store that they wish to protect and they don't want to administer these licenses, that is entirely within their power and purview. So that was the purpose in bringing the bill, and Senator Seeberger, I have testifiers.
Thank you, Senator Klein. I would ask Bruce Newstead and Dave Ring to approach the testifiers table, please. Mr. Newstead, when you're ready, please introduce yourself for the record and begin.
Good afternoon, Chair Seeberger and members of the committee. My name is Bruce Newstead. I'm with the Minnesota Retailers Association. We're a collection of retailers across the state representing small Main Street retailers, regional retailers, and some national brands as well. We're really proud to join consumers across Minnesota and the Minnesota Service Station and Convenience Store Association, Fueling Minnesota, the Minnesota Grocers Association, Hospitality Minnesota, and the Minnesota Chamber of Commerce in support of Chair Klein's Senate File 3396. As he said, a bill allowing Minnesotans to buy full-strength beer, including local brews,
where they currently can only get 3-2 products. In 2022, this committee and the legislature took a step toward making our liquor laws more up-to-date by letting town ball baseball leagues sell full-strength beer instead of just 3-2. Now it's time to modernize our liquor laws where 3-2 is sold today. Minnesota is behind because of our last in-nation 3-2 beer licensing law. Remains really a leftover from prohibition. Chair Klein's bill would provide clarity, as he said, convenience and consistency to the market. The reality is we are the only state licensing 3-2 beer today, and frequently shoppers think they're getting full-strength beer when they are not. As you've heard in testimony previously on Senator Lang's bill and the Litchfield Town Ball bill, consumers actually do want something stronger, different, and local. Other states have caught up with this shift in consumer demand, but in Minnesota, we're still stuck. It is frustrating being last and missing out. Our laws hold back our breweries and our stores from reaching new customers, but we can make changes without messing with how stores are licensed today and how product is delivered. Chair Klein's bill maintains the current regulatory system. Simply put, if a city does not want to issue, a city or local government does not want to issue a malt liquor limited license, they do not have to. And those delivering the product will continue to be the ones making those deliveries. As I wrap up today, I wanted to flag just a handout in your packet that lists 3-2 products that are available. I want to just mention that there are a fair number of duplicates on that list, especially if you look at sizes and packaging. But really what's most important is what is not on that list. I count just real quickly, I think 4 Minnesota brewers on that list, which demonstrates to me that our brewers and our stores are missing out today. So, Madam Chair, trusting people, as we've done with many other products lately, makes sense to allow folks to also buy full-strength beer at convenience and grocery stores. It's just what people want, and it's the right time to update our beer laws to make things clearer and easier for busy Minnesotans. So with that, we want to thank Chair Klein for being a champion of this bill, and thank you, Madam Chair, for hearing my comments today.
Thank you, Mr. Newstad. Our next testifier is Dave Ring, and if Lonnie McCorder could approach the testifiers table, please. Mr. Ring, please introduce yourself and begin your testimony.
Good afternoon, Chairman Klein, Vice Chair Seeberger, Ranking Minority Member Dames, members of the Senate Commerce and Consumer Protection Committee. Thank you for the opportunity to testify here today on Senate File 3396. My name is Dave Ring, Community and Government Relations Manager for Quick Trip, a family-owned third-generation convenience store company that owns and operates 870 convenience stores in 6 states. We currently own and operate 213 stores and employ 8,700 coworkers in Minnesota. Minnesota, as has been stated previously by Mr. Newstead, is the last state with a 3-2 law. Prohibition ended in 1933, yet here we are 91 years later with outdated, antiquated, and anti-consumer alcohol laws still in place. Let's be clear, those who do not adapt to change become victims of it. In Minnesota, the status quo of limited alcohol access to retailers has made Minnesota consumers the victims. Quick Trip supports this bill because it allows us and other retailers the opportunity to sell a broad variety of only full-strength beer, which eliminates, which eliminates barriers to entry and provides the choices, selection, convenience, and price competition consumers expect and deserve, while also eliminating deceptive advertising. So it comes down, so it comes down to supporting consumers and voting for open markets, competition, and choice, the bedrock of a free market economy, or maintaining the 91 years of status quo and limiting consumers to the choices, selection, and convenience all other 49 states enjoy. Quick Trip and all other retailers who sell beer in other states take the responsibility of selling beer products very seriously. And we provide significant training for our employees and ID check all age-restricted and tobacco products and have an active secret shopper program in place to ensure compliance by our coworkers. The ask of retailers and the language in the bill is only for the opportunity to sell full-strength beer. In short, Quick Trip supports this legislation for the following reasons. Consumer polls showed that urban and rural residents in Minnesota support the sale of full-strength beer at grocery, convenience, and retail stores who possess the proper alcohol license. The economics generated by this legislation are clear, compelling, and strong. Greater selections and choices of popular full-strength beer products sold in grocery convenience stores will generate higher demand and result in higher sales and profits for beer wholesalers, Minnesota craft breweries, whose products we will be able to sell, and higher sales tax revenue for the state of Minnesota. Quick Trip estimates that the availability of full-strength beer products in all of our 213 stores will generate $2.75 million in new annual state sales tax revenue and help end the loss of sales tax revenue to neighboring border states. The production of 3.2 beer has been eliminated by Molson, Coors, and all other major beer wholesalers have stopped producing this beer product, except Anheuser-Busch, who only produces 3.2 beer products in 12 packs of only Budweiser, Bud Light, and Busch Light. So Quick Trip and other retailers have a very limited supply of NA and low alcohol products to sell to our customers, which only represent 2 to 3% of all beer sales. In short, freedom of choice is what a free market economy provides and what consumers demand, so that they are provided with competitive selection and pricing which everyone benefits from. Thank you for your time and our views on this legislation.
Thank you, Mr.
Senator
Ring.
Klein, for your leadership.
Thank you, Mr. Ring, for your testimony. We'll see you next time.
Sounds good.
Our next testifier is Lonnie McCorder, and if Nathan Price could approach the testifier's table.
Thank you, Madam Chair and members of this committee. My name is Lonnie McCorder. I'm Director of Operations of 36 Lynn Refuel Station located in South Minneapolis. Been in operation there nearly 19 years. It'll be 19 years on June 9th. And today, testifying in support of Senator Klein's bill and be happy to join the rest of the nation in being brought into the 21st century. Now, what this bill is about giving the consumer choice. She deserves to have selection in where she chooses to buy the products from and where she chooses not to. You're going to find from the opposition, they're going to come to the stage and mention different various arguments about why convenience stores should be locked out or why grocery. It's fine what the selection that we have, but is that a decision to be made in these rooms or by the consumer inside the walls of a convenience store, grocery store, alcohol outlet, or wherever else is selling in a responsible fashion? Now, the convenience store industry, of which I'm heavily involved in, an organization called NACS, which is the National Association of Convenience Stores, has invested tens of millions of dollars in ensuring age-restricted products stay out of the hands of minors. One of the most recent investments has been in a technology called TruAge, which is going to make sure that not only with the proliferation of mobile driver's licenses, but also counterfeit IDs will not be accepted. And we can also raise our high standards, which is already around 98% in the state of Minnesota, up to nearly 100, because 98% compliance is not enough for us. So with other products that have been discussed in these hallways, such as cannabis and THC and the proliferation of the state, it seems very fitting that this is the right time that we are allowed to sell more than just 3.2% alcohol by weight within our stores, and as well as being able to incorporate many local retailers as well. Now, I've kind of made it my business model that we have over half of our item mix inside the stores of 36 Lynn is locally sourced in organics, and I look forward to the time that we'll be able to host many local brands made right here in the state of Minnesota. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Mr. McCorder. Our next testifier is Nathan Price, and if Ms. Fabian Roars could approach the testifier's table. Mr. Price, will you please identify yourself and begin your testimony?
Thank you, Madam Chair, for letting me speak today. My name is Nathan Price. I own convenience stores in northern Minnesota, and I'm speaking in favor of allowing stores like mine to sell full-strength beer. The beer being proposed does not impact Minnesota's three-tier system, will not change the labor related to deliveries currently being made, and does not allow for the sale of wines or spirits. Most importantly, this bill does modernize our law to be aligned with 49 other states. The bill simply allows consumers choices of what they would like to purchase. In some instances, stores like mine may be the only options folks have for many miles around to purchase beer. Turning people away because we don't have the ability to sell strong beer, a product they demand from us, is disappointing not only to our business like mine, but also to our consumers. I want to thank the author, Senator Klein, for allowing my business an opportunity to provide what customers are asking for. In conclusion, doesn't it make sense for a consumer to have the convenience to pick up on the way to a barbecue some chips, top the tater, some brats, and a cold six-pack of beer wherever they choose? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Price. Our next testifier is Fabian Roars, and if Brant Irwin could approach the testifier's table. Mr. Roars, please identify yourself and begin your testimony.
Good afternoon, Senators, Madam Chairwoman. My name is Fabian Roars, and I'm the president of Teamsters Local 792 based in Minneapolis. We represent members at distributors that deliver most of the beer in the Twin Cities and most of the liquor in the state. I myself drove a beer truck for 28 years. The Teamsters oppose the bill that is being discussed for multiple reasons. There's a finite amount of beer that is consumed in the state. This will only redistribute where it's purchased while adding no benefit to the state. We feel that this bill is taking money from Minnesota's middle class and giving it to corporations based outside of the state. The Quick Trips, Speedways, Casey's, Holidays, just to name a few. One of the last best small businesses in Minnesota is the liquor store. There are hundreds of these stores that operate as family businesses. As small independent liquor stores find it harder to stay in business and current liquor store chains either cease to expand or even scale back, job levels in the industry will stay flat or decline. These are good-paying, middle-class jobs that will be replaced by lower-paying convenience store clerks, if replaced at all. The municipal liquor store system will suffer, giving less money back to the cities they represent as these sales go to private stores on the fringes of their city. Most large chains that already run liquor stores in the state understand that the current system works. Liquor stores with separate entrances and their own highly trained managers and cashiers that know how to spot a fake ID and follow liquor regulations. Liquor is isolated from the rest of the grocery store. If you don't want to be around liquor or you don't want to expose your children to it, just don't go into the liquor store. The convenience of parking your car once while shopping for both groceries and liquor is already there. Many of these chains are also based in Minnesota, keeping jobs and profits local and in the state. Finally, as interests from outside of the state continue to lobby to change current liquor laws, we can clearly see future attacks on the three-tier system. Direct shipping from distribution centers to stores, skipping past the distributors and costing well-paying local jobs. The current system allows for adequate oversight on the purchase of liquor, sufficient convenience for the customer, and protection of great middle-class jobs, over 1,800 in my local alone. Our question to you is, what's broken? Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Roars. Our next testifier is Brant Irwin, and if Joel Carlson could approach the testifiers table. Mr. Irwin, please identify yourself and begin your testimony.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Madam Chair and members of the committee. My name is Brant Irwin. I'm the president of the Minnesota Beer Wholesalers Association. We join in the opposition to Senate File 3396. This bill would dramatically and instantly increase the number of off-premise retailers in the state of Minnesota by granting grocery and convenience stores the ability to sell full-strength beer. This bill would create a competitive advantage for big box stores to the detriment of local liquor stores, since big box stores have the capacity to undercut the price of such products. This bill also purports to solve a problem that doesn't exist. Minnesota grocery and convenience stores have the ability to obtain an off-premise liquor license, provided they have a separate entrance, and many of them do just that. There's no evidence to suggest that Minnesota consumers have any issue or challenge with access to alcohol. Minnesota grocery and convenience stores currently have the right to sell a litany of low-alcohol products on their shelves. The argument that 3-2 is going away is unsupportable. First and foremost, 3-2 product is alcohol by weight, which is the equivalent of approximately 4.054% by volume. The list of products is substantial and includes over 200 of them, ranging from Amstel Light to Twisted Tea. Colorado went through a similar process a few years ago, beginning with beer sales in grocery and convenience stores in 2019, followed by wine sales in grocery and convenience stores in 2023. Recent articles suggest that potentially up to 60% of Colorado's liquor stores may now go out of business. Losing any number of independent retailers is bad for Minnesota. This legislation will likely do just that, and we strongly oppose this bill. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Irwin. Our next testifier is Joel Carlson, and if Mike Corneal could approach the testifiers table. Mr. Carlson, please introduce yourself and begin your testimony.
Madam Chair, members, Joel Carlson for the Wine and Spirit Wholesalers, and I won't add much to what you've already heard. We join with our industry partners in opposition to this. We do know that one of the biggest increases in products that we are putting into market right now is low and no alcohol beverages. So we know that that product that Mr. Irwin talks about is readily available, and we're not writing on a blank slate here. We know the experience from other states that have made this change and the impact that it's had on our independent retail partners. So we stand in opposition to this as well, however well-intended. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Carlson. Our next testifier is Mike Corneal, and if Hardik Patel could approach the testifiers table. Mr. Cornell, could you please introduce yourself and begin your testimony?
Good afternoon, Madam Chair, and good afternoon to the committee. My name is Mike Cornet, and I'm the co-founder and president of Prize Brewing Company. Our brewery and tap room is located in the near north neighborhood of Minneapolis. I'm here on behalf of the Minnesota Craft Brewers Guild Legislative Committee. I'm here today to voice our opposition to Senate File 3396. Although we thank the author for their intent, this bill will ultimately harm small craft beer producers, distributors, and liquor stores in the state and reduce the number of local craft beer options available to all Minnesotans. At Prize, we've worked hard to build strong relationships with our small independent and municipal retail partners, including the separate entrance grocery liquor stores. Through our partnerships and samplings, we have come to know the sellers of our products and in our communities throughout the state. We have also been able to personally answer questions and connect with the consumer every week through our samplings. These partnerships allow our consumers to access to unique and local products made by small producers from around the state. Senate File 3396 will reduce the number of locally made products available on store shelves and put many locally owned and municipal liquor stores out of business over time. Local craft breweries will be forced off of the limited grocery store shelves. There's much less space in grocery for beer. It will be replaced by products from national breweries and international megacorporations. This is what we've seen in other states. We've seen the results from a similar bill in Colorado that was enacted in January of 2019. The early reports show that craft producers have seen a decrease in sales and volumes, especially with the smaller craft breweries that were under 15,000 barrels. That represents nearly all of the craft breweries in the state of Minnesota. The Minnesota craft brewers believe Minnesotans deserve to have locally made and locally distributed beer in their neighborhood store, and we have one of the most unique systems that allow us to have this variety, way more than other states that we see out there. Ultimately, this bill harms small Minnesota-owned small businesses and many municipalities. We encourage this committee to support small businesses and municipalities. We ask for your opposition to Senate File 3396. I'm happy to answer any of your questions.
Thank you, Mr. Cornet. And our final testifier is Hardik Patel. If you could please introduce yourself for the record and begin your testimony.
Thank you, Madam Chair and member of committee. My name is Hardik Patel. I'm the owner of one of the oldest liquor store in White Bear Lake. I'm here representing the Minnesota Licensed Beverage Association, which includes small businesses like mine, and both on-sale, off-sale, liquor store, restaurants, and bar. We strongly oppose this bill to allow alcohol everywhere. Essentially, this bill will hurt local liquor store like mine, a local choice to consumer, and a locally made products. Currently, Minnesota enjoys unprecedented wine, beer, and spirit product availability and choices at affordable prices. This comes from our current smart and balanced alcohol regulation. In state which with different regulations, there's dramatically less product choices for consumers. This legislation is unnecessary. Grocery and convenience store can already sell beer, wine, and liquor. As long as they follow existing smart and balanced liquor law, there is no legal impediment. In fact, over 220 liquor stores in Minnesota already do. There is no evidence of consumer are having difficulty obtaining alcohol. Beer manufacturers have not indicated that they're going to stop production of 3.2 beers. Every state in the country has 3.2 because low alcohol is growing trend. 3.2 beer is defined weight and amount to about 4%, and there are so many varieties. In addition, it's easily access to alcohol, a controlled substance, should be available. Those should not be available to those who are under 21. And increased access to alcohol, a regulated substance results in alcohol-related social problems. We urge your opposition to this bill and create a deeply unleveled. It creates a deeply unlevel playing field for the industry, hurts consumer choices, and harms locally made store and products. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Patel. Any questions or discussion from the members? Seeing none, any final thoughts? Senator Klein.
Thank you for considering the bill. We've limited it to just beer, not spirits, not wine, and given municipal control. I appreciate the consideration.
All right, thank you. And with that, Senate File 3396 is laid over. There being no more business before the committee, the Commerce Committee is adjourned.